You're definitely an Andromedan Syrian hybrid with origins in Andromeda, all right? And of course, a lot of lifetimes in Sirius B. So with that in mind, guys, I'm going to get right to it. I don't think I have any more announcements. Oh yeah, one last thing. The Galactic Conference that I'm doing online is on the 8/8 portal, which is this coming August, Lionsgate. So I'm going to be breaking down current galactic updates for about almost an hour, I think 45 minutes to be exact. So make sure you guys sign up by, I guess, typing in my name, Ismael. So that way I know it's you guys that are going to be on there watching me. And any other updates, I think that's it. I do want to welcome Jesus the Christ to my left. Next to him, Michael the Archangel. My 3 books, The Secret Government, Invisible Architects, and Our Cosmic Origin, both of which are available at Amazon. And I also wanted to acknowledge the lion which represents the House of Lyra, All right, I think I'm going to get right into it because I know a lot of people are like, get right into the intel, Ishmael. Skip the intro. I do read the comments, guys. All right, so apparently right now, guys, as the veil becomes lifted, okay, the so-called alliance between the U.S. and Israel has always been a front to launder money, manipulate wars, and run human trafficking operations under the guise of military aid. And why am I saying this? Well, because a lot of this has to do with a certain operation that I'm going to be discussing in a little bit, designed to get rid of the deep state in the Middle East, okay? So apparently Israel, I've mentioned this before, I'll mention it again, and Iran, both, I'm not taking sides, are, even though they appear to be opposite on the surface, right? They're both manipulated by the same globalist controllers, and that is a fact. So technically, the real war is between President Trump and the international parasites that have fed off the nations for generations. So Netanyahu, who publicly called the assassination of Khamenei, is not a partner in Trump's mission. I've already mentioned this before, and I'll mention it again. Trump does keep his enemies closer, right? Netanyahu is part of the problem, all right? I've mentioned that before. He has actually been a long-time puppet of the World Economic Forum and the Mossad banking overlords. Netanyahu's agenda is to ignite a wider war that will drag in the U.S., crash the dollar, and allow the UN to push a global emergency government under the guise of peacekeeping. But that's not what's going to be happening, okay? Because the alliance has a different agenda. But Trump isn't just playing along, okay? His early exit from the G7 summit was a signal to the Q-level loyalists that stage 4 has begun as we completed stage 3. For those that are wanting to get familiarized with the different stages, I explained the different stages in the last live, I believe, or 2 lives ago. Insiders within the White House Situation Room, Trump and his trusted circle, General Flynn, and there is a report coming from General Flynn that I'm going to actually be discussing in a little bit regarding the list. If you guys thought that was the end of the list, like I mentioned, it's part of Project Trust 2.0. It's coming, okay? They're using it for leverage right now. Of course, J.D. Vance, Trump's inner circle, Kash Patel, despite of what we hear in some, news media outlets, he's not quitting, and of course, Space Force Command. They have mapped a multi-pronged strike, not just on Iran's nuclear bunkers, which was a cover-up to really take out the biolabs, because there were never any nukes, right? But to also go against rogue Israel intelligence nodes, feeding real-time war data to deep state NATO assets. So the Fordow facility has already been compromised. It's more than a uranium site. It's a vault for black projects, synthetic biology, and geoengineering data funneled into Iran after U.S. patriots seized European biolabs and forced their operations underground. And what about Israel's role? Some of you might be thinking, and I'm sure you guys already know by now, right, that Israel is playing a big key role within the system of the beast. Well, multiple intelligence leaks confirm that Tel Aviv has been running advanced psychological operations against U.S. citizens using AI bots, mass surveillance, and disinformation to polarize Americans and frame anti-globalist voices as extremist, right? And even more damning, Mossad assets embedded in U.S. tech firms were responsible for backdooring election systems in 2020 and in 2022, which is now fully documented in sealed indictments scheduled for unsealing through, of course, the military tribunal orders. All right, it is believed that it is scheduled, to be unsealed to the general public sometime this month, okay, which is a good thing, okay? Trump's demand for Kamenel's surrender was actually followed by a chilling post. Quote Trump, he said, "We are not going to take him out," which means to off him, right? At least not for now. And then he said, read between the lines, okay? In other words, guys, this is all a psychological trigger, a final window to flip, confess, or vanish. Space Force has already locked Kamenel's digital footprint via the quantum satellite mesh, isolating all communications inside Iran. And this is why I keep telling you guys that there will be no World War or World War III. But behind that effort is a larger, far more explosive operation, which I'm actually going to go into greater detail in a little bit, by the name of Project Arcstorm, which is a classified program to shut down the Middle East deep state grid and flood its secrets into the public light via the emergency broadcast system. And my friends, this ties in very well with what I talked about on Saturday night regarding Project Trust 2.0, right? Using blackmail as a leverage to get more out of the deep state. Well, again, the deep state is everywhere. It's obviously all around the world, but it has a huge epicenter in the Middle East. So the alliance between rogue Iranian clerics and Zionist warlords has long been protected under the illusion of religious and geopolitical conflict. But behind the curtain, they have actually colluded for decades. And I've mentioned this before, guys. The governments of Israel and the governments of Iran are like WrestleMania. They're appearing to be enemies, but technically they're just doing it for the initiation, or for what is called the final cataclysm of initiating the Third World War. Okay, they're working for the same people. And in fact, I guarantee you that Netanyahu and the leader of Iran are really good friends, if you guys know what I mean. Okay, but of course, we've been led to believe that they were enemies, right? But from behind the scenes, they have been colluding for decades, okay? Exchanging weapons, laundering drug and organ transferring profits through the Swiss and Israeli control banks, and of course, protecting each other's strategic sites via diplomatic immunity networks. So the IAFA, just another cover, right? They helped hide the trafficking, tunnels beneath Fordow, Natanz, and even parts of Tel Aviv. Trump's team has the maps, they have the files, and they are done waiting. Vice President J.D. Vance, which acted as a silent hammer in Trump's war council and is still doing that, issued a subtle warning to the world that the president has shown remarkable restraint, but the message is clear. The message is clear. We are locked and loaded. If the global elite don't bend their knee, they will be exposed, prosecuted, and eliminated. And of course, Netanyahu's call to assassinate Kamenel, I think that's how you pronounce the guy from Iran, isn't about security, it's desperation. With Israeli intelligence now splintered between loyalist and globalist moles, internal purges have begun. The IDF's Unit 8200 has reportedly gone rogue. So feeding encrypted intelligence directly to Chinese and French deep state networks, trying to sabotage Trump's moves. But again, Space Force already cracked their frequency shifts, okay? And this is checkmate, guys. This is all checkmate. All the biolab evidence is now in Fordow and it's just the tip of the iceberg. And of course, that thing that they extract from the little ones, it starts with an A. It rhymes with arenalome, right? Adrene, if you guys know what I mean, chrome. Harvesting operations, all right? All of that stuff is documented, and they have all the evidence. And this actually ties in, of course, to what I'm going to be talking about in a little bit regarding the Epstein files. So, a lot of this stuff was actually traceable and uncovered by the White Hats in these underground bunkers in west of Iran, with connections to Israeli intelligence transport routes through Syria and Jordan. But Trump's surgical strike teams are being activated, right? The live footage will not be edited, I'm sorry. They want to show all this footage in its full details. Some people are going to puke. So it will be broadcast, okay? The world will finally see what the elites have protected at all costs. And this explains why there's always been a delay on things, okay? But like I said before, it doesn't matter. The prophecies have indicated that in the positive timeline, the elites get exposed and eliminated, okay? So the Middle East is the chessboard. But the game isn't between Iran and Israel, obviously. It's between sovereign nations, those that are aligned with the alliance, and of course the godless global cabal that use both sides like puppets in every given situation, right? All throughout the centuries, when you think about it. Including the Napoleonic Wars, the French Revolution, Hitler. I mean, all those wars, guys. The gun plot war in the 1600s that led when they were trying to oppress the Irish. All of those wars were initiated by the same people. Okay, so Trump's return wasn't about politics, guys. It was about justice. Khamenei, of course. Khamenei, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, is the public mask of the Iranian elite. Netanyahu is the mask of the Zionist arm. They're both working together, okay? And both are now facing the same fate, which I will go into detail regarding Operation Arkstorm. So the trap is already sprung. The media blackout is deliberate, but the EBS countdown is in place, all right? And when the truth floods out, when the tunnels, files, bodies, and transactions come to light, because everything will come to light, guys, as predicted in the ancient records, and according to the book of Q, which is also going to be revealed or released, no one will look at Israel or Iran the same way. In essence, Trump has made his move, okay? And the globalists have actually nowhere to go. I do wanted to thank one of the Galactic Jedis for the super chat at the beginning. I didn't miss it. I did see it. Thank you. I appreciate that. Now let's talk about Project Arkstorm, okay, which is the operation to dismantle the Middle Eastern deep state grid. So Project Arkstorm, while publicly known as a FEMA and USGS climate model stimulating a massive California megastorm, also exists as a covert classified military operation operating under the same name. Okay, an acronym for Alliance, Reconnaissance, Kinetic, Strategic Theater Operations for Revealing Mechanisms. All right, again, Project Arkstorm. Alliance, Reconnaissance, Kinetics, Strategic Theater Operations for Revealing Mechanisms. This parallel mission, spearheaded by the White Hats and Earth Alliance, is a multi-layer tactical offensive aimed at exposing and dismantling the most concealed nodes of the deep state's control structures that were rooted in the Middle East, including all the underground data vaults, ancient black site operations, and of course, as they are building their AI army, I think Kerry Cassidy did talk about how they literally are building an army of robots, right, and artificial command centers, right, buried beneath geopolitical conflict zones. So at its core, Project Arkstorm is a flood of revelation, a military cyber psychological operation designed to unleash you could say, a flood of truth via the emergency broadcast system once the operation hits its completion threshold, and it will at the end of phase 4. Again, we entered phase 4 3 weeks ago. So, in terms of historical context, the deep states, and in regards to the deep states Middle Eastern network, the deep states' influence in the Middle East dates back to ancient Mesopotamia, where early extraterrestrial interventions seeded power structures around Sumer, Babylon, and Akkadian. And then over the millennium, these control systems evolved into modern shadow governments, hidden monarchies, oil-based economic cabals, and rogue intelligence cells operating between Islamic, Zionist, and Vatican facades. So notably, they are describing the House of Saud, which acted as a financial handler, right? That's where the money man evolved from, the House of Saud, the Iranian black sites that were repurposed by Nazi breakaway factions post-World War II, and also uncovering ancient vaults under the Temple Mount. And let me tell you guys, there's a lot of secrets that are going to be uncovered right underneath the Temple Mount. Allegedly, of course, what used to store the Ark of the Covenant, right? Which technically is used for multiple things, including a weaponized technology that was used in ancient times during the wars between Israel and their enemies. And of course, the AI systems connected to Project Omega, right, which is the AI technocratic timeline, and the Mitras network, which is the AI signal, were seeded through underground complexities in Syria and Iraq. Okay, so again, this is about dismantling all of this stuff within the regions of the Middle East. So these nodes operating autonomously until the global quantum surveillance grid, they were operating autonomously, these nodes that I just mentioned, until, of course, the global quantum surveillance grid, which is controlled by Space Force, eventually controlled both Switzerland, you could say, before Space Force, again, took over. But these nodes were initially controlled by Switzerland, Jerusalem, and Doha. And they were all connected under a dark net of predictive policy, okay, financial control, and societal manipulation. And then, of course, through Project, or through the Global Quantum Surveillance Grid, the Alliance was able to access all of this. Thank God, thank God. So the Middle East apparently served as both a temporal firewall, blocking historical truths, and a neural command center for the deep state's planetary infrastructure. So, as we are activated in Phase 4, which is what they call flooding the grid and exposing all of this information, in early 2025, Project Arcstorm was actually reactivated under Space Force authority as part of Operation Stonefire's third phase. Now, if you're wondering what Operation Stonefire is, I would suggest watching my lives in the last week and a half. I broke down all the different Y-hat operations. So the mission directive, of course, for Operation Stonefire in its third phase, as before we entered Phase 4, was to shut down the deep state's Middle Eastern central grid and prepare its internal data for full-scale release through global channels. So this operation includes digital decapitation using quantum encryption, Y-hat cyber units penetrated command and control centers hidden beneath Tel Aviv, Riyadh, and Damascus. Also, included in this operation was ARC protocols, which was the activation of sacred code nodes embedded by defectors from the Mossad, MI6, and of course our own three-letter agency that starts with a C. Black mirror departments allowing digital backdoors into otherwise impenetrable systems. Also included in this operation is seizures of AI servers. The seizure of AI servers, which is artificial intelligence that was being used by the deep state, particularly ancient Etorian, not Etherian, the Etorians, right, which is that inorganic race, that synthetic race, that has now gained control of the Galactic Federation of Worlds, thanks to Enki. Okay, so this was part of the White Hat operation to apparently seize all the AI servers that were in place, used by the deep state, particularly given to them by the Etorian-derived software through the Black Cube relay centers in Mecca and Abu Dhabi, was apparently shut down, thank God, through algorithmic poisoning and light code injections. You know, this war is being fought by technologies beyond our comprehension, apparently. And then, of course, part of this project, finally but not least, was to eventually release the ancient record extractions, which, again, were suppressed for, I would say, probably thousands of years. And, of course, spiritual warfare teams recovered holographic records, thank God, and I do believe that they used super soldiers for this operation, and cosmic artifacts believed to date back to the era of King Solomon, who many believe was the person who laid the foundation for Tartaria, right? So a lot of these artifacts also that are part of the ancient records extraction, included in this operation, is also the restoration of artifacts that could actually be traceable back to pre-diluvial Earth era, which is pre-flood. And then also the part of the final phase of phase 4, because of all these operations, is the flooding of all secrets, right? This is what we call the disclosure, which is going to be, you could say, delivered through the emergency broadcast system, which many believe has been dormant for a long time, right? But under Operation Revival Flame, Project Arcstorm, classified subdirective ties directly into this infrastructure as to why we're going to have some sort of a emergency broadcast system. And then once fully operational victory is declared in the Middle East, or in the Middle Eastern Deep State Theater, let's just call it theater because that's what it is, right? The EBS is scheduled to be implemented, okay? And they will be broadcasting, people are going to be puking, raw footage, unedited video, evidence from black site rituals, human transferring tunnels, trafficking, and extraterrestrial technology experiments, okay? Also, they're going to be releasing classified testimonies from defectors, whistleblowers, and alien ambassadors under galactic neutrality protocols. And it's also going to trigger mass awakenings across the Islamic world as suppressed teachings of a cosmic spiritual law, the hidden imans, and, of course, the galactic Mahdi prophecies, which correspond to this return of some sort of a Messiah figure, okay, as revealed to link Earth's spiritual traditions under one divine truth. So this information is not just digital, guys. It is symbolic, triggering a collective trauma release and global mass ego collapse, paving the way for unity consciousness. And then there's also a different layer of this operation called strategic implications, which is Earth's temporal grid being recalibrated, right? So by dismantling the deep state's Middle Eastern grid, which is Project Arcstorm, achieves 3 immediate results. The first one is the collapsing of dark money systems. The petrodollar empire, right, bringing us back to a gold standard, it's coming. Covert arms trade and human transferring pipelines are going to be paralyzed, cutting off the lifeblood of the global cartel. In addition to that, also the releasing of suppressed technology, that's part of Project Arcstorm's vaults, includes zero-point energy modules. Where do you guys think they've been hiding all the tech? In the Middle East. That explains all the conflicts that have been going on in the Middle East. It's because they're after this alien technology, okay? Vibrational healing tools, of course, and blueprints for planetary shielding systems. And also included in this operation is the activation of sacred sites with dark rituals neutralized and black AI systems offline. Earth's ley lines, especially around Mount Sinai, right? Gobekli Peki, or Göbekli, I can't even say that word. Göbekli Tepe and Petra are aligned to Gaia's, Göbekli Tepe, I said it right? And Petra are realigned to Gaia's original organic frequency, allowing cosmic energies to once again flow through the grid. And that, my friends, is what's going to activate the DNA. Okay, so all these operations are also designed for the reactivation of the dormant DNA, all right, in order to fulfill prophecies. And so when we think about it, we are in the fork of the timeline split, right? So as the data approaches, as this data huge revelation approaches, rather, humanity will face a final bifurcation, okay? Those who choose to awaken, forgive, and transcend will enter the new earth timeline aligned with galactic harmony and crystalline consciousness. I'll repeat that again. Those who choose to awaken, forgive, and transcend will enter the new earth timeline, the positive one, where there is no AI, aligning with galactic harmony and crystalline consciousness. And then those who cling to the old systems of control will spiral into a parallel simulation ruled by the remnants of the AI beast, known in prophecy as the Ahriman Omega in the secret prophecies, as reported by, of course, Rudolf Steiner. So the Ark is here, guys, right? Project Ark Storm, that's what I'm talking about, is not just a military operation. It is a biblical scale cleansing. Just as Noah's Ark weathered a flood to save the genetic codes on Earth, did you guys know that part of Noah being saved was to save only the original Terranusian, original angelic genetic codings and eliminate the other hybrids, right? So just like Noah's flood to save the genetic codes of Earth, this modern ark carries the data codes of truth, preparing to wash away deception once and for all. And so as we stand at the precipice of disclosure, one thing becomes clear, Galactic Jedis, that the storm is not coming. The storm is here, okay? It is here and it is bringing the light. Everything's coming to the surface. Let's talk a little bit about Project Revival Flame as it ties into Project Ark Storm, which is another Y-hat operation that was designed to ignite the awakening, right? I've been talking about this critical mass effect, which is very similar to the Maharishi effect, right? The 100 monkey syndrome, where once you get enough of the population to actually snap out of their programming, it causes a natural tilt for everybody else to kind of get it. You know what I mean? So Project Revival Flame is a classified Y-hat psychological, technological, and spiritual operation launched in the aftermath of the Cabal's collapse of the global narrative structure. So while many operations such as Stonefire, Horizon Shield, and again, if you're unfamiliar with these terms, I would suggest to watch my five lives back about a week and a half ago. Okay, so unlike traditional operations, Revival Flame operates on multi-dimensions, emotional, digital, cosmic, and ancestral. Okay, and so while many operations like Stonefire, Horizon Shield, and Ark Storm have focused a tactical cleanup of all military, underground stuff, and AI threats that were designed to take over the Earth, right? Neutralized in the positive timeline. There is no AI taking over the Earth, by the way. Revival Flame is uniquely designed to rekindle the spirit of truth across humanity. So, again, Revival Flame operates on multi-dimensions. It's on emotional, digital, cosmic, and ancestral, okay, as well. It is all of that. The goal is simply, you could say, the goal is simple, but very profound, okay, to reignite human sovereignty, restore the truth frequency, and reconnect the people of Earth to their authentic origins, suppressed knowledge, and divine wisdom, or divine mission also, right? So that's really, really cool, okay? Since we've been lied to about our true origin, right? Since they've been suppressing a lot of the secret knowledge and keeping it to themselves for millennium. And of course, we were heavily programmed to kind of forget about our divine mission. So the need for Project Revival Flame emerged from the global disinformation crisis that accelerated after the cabal's manipulation of the media through Project Mockingbird, religion, believe it or not, when they infiltrated America through Jacob Schiff, who was a Rothschild agent. One of the first things that they established here was it's called the Federation of Church Councils or something, and that was designed to control religion, and then even science, right, and of course history, and that's when history hit a breaking point. So in 2020 to 2023, the population was subjected to mass trauma-based programming through mix, right, AI-driven censorship, false flag operations, and narrative warfare. So while many were actually focused on survival and being distracted by sports, Disneyland, TV shows, from behind the scenes, the White counterintelligence officers, spiritual leaders, starseed operatives, believe it or not, there's a lot of starseeds that are somehow, spiritually speaking, and in the astral, working with the White Hats. And of course, digital freedom architects that formed a covert coalition to respond immediately. And that explains all these truthers that began emerging in 2014, right? 2012, 2014, 2016, and now. So under the command of a joint Earth Galactic Council, Project Revival Flame was actually approved and launched under quantum oversight with multidimensional backing from the Galactic Alliance and the Arcturian Council, as well as the Inner Earth luminaries. So, operation goals and structures of this operation, which is Project Revival Flame, are as included: the Restore Global Truth Infrastructure, using the Emergency Broadcast System, otherwise known as the EBS, to decentralize truth networks, right, for Project Odin, and hidden archives. Secondly, it is designed to also awaken humanity's spiritual memory through light-coded transmissions, DNA harmonization, and soul-activating frequencies. Another objective of this operation is to also neutralize mind control programming embedded in media, entertainment, and digital systems. And this kind of ties in with MK Ultra and Project Monarch, which is mind control on a greater scale, right, through the television sets. When most people thought that they were watching TV, little did they know that frequencies were coming out of the TV to literally dump, what is it called? Like keep them like that, like dumb them down. I hate to use that word, but that's what television did. Anyways, another thing of this project, another objective was to reignite grassroots sovereignty movements around the planet to unify Earth's tribes, nations, and spiritual traditions under divine law, protecting the spiritual wisdom of the elders, the ancients, right? For the last 3 centuries, the Westerners have been trying to eliminate the knowledge of the natives, right? The people that were here in this continent before the Europeans came. So, key components of Project Revival Flame also include the Vaults of Truth Activation, which is a White operations that gained access to the deep archives, a global collection of hidden manuscripts, and a lot of them were actually also hidden within the Vatican vaults. Ancient technologies. If you guys think that a lot of these advanced alien technologies have recently been discovered, no. The elites, through their secret societies, have actually been hiding advanced alien technologies that were left here by advanced ancient civilizations. Also, of course, uncovering extraterrestrial records that were stored in underground bunkers. There's a lot of evidence there. talk about disclosure, right? Vatican catacombs and secret desert vaults in Sinai, Mount Sinai, Peru, and Mongolia. So these were actually encoded with multidimensional truths that meant to reactivate the divine blueprint of the earth. And this operation was also designed to initiate a global communication override, okay, which is part of Revival Flame, reprogramming the emergency broadcast system not just to deliver urgent intel, but to transmit light-coded awakenings using sacred harmonic frequencies. And this includes playback of real whistleblower confessions, and they will release this to the general public, audio recordings from secret UN, Vatican, and Rothschild meetings. That's going to be good. I want to hear those. And restored footage of ancient technology in Antarctica and Iraq, right? And a lot of this ties into the Anunnaki, because where did the Anunnaki land when they first arrived approximately 450,000 years ago? In Iraq, which is what we call today, Iraq, Iran area, which is what we call today Iraq, Iran. Back then it was actually known as the Persian Gulf. And then, of course, part of this operation is, and this is what I like, is the DNA flame codes, guys. The DNA flame codes, the reactivation of DNA flame codes. And what are those? Well, backed by benevolent ETs such as the Pleiadians and Arcturian teams, part of Project Revival Flame includes the distribution of plasma-based DNA harmonization signals designed to reactivate the 12-strand DNA structure. There is evidence that 10 of our DNA strands have been disconnected or are temporarily not in use. Awaken memories of past lives and soul missions. Dissolve synthetic nanotech from AI black goo contamination. And so these signals are quietly being transmitted through modified Starlink satellites, Earth resonance pulses, and solar flare amplification. And in a little bit, I'm going to talk about the impact of these solar flares that are actually causing a lot of animals to flee Yellowstone area. It's just been reported in the last 24 hours, 48, I think, that, anyways, I'll get into that in a little bit. All right, so part of this operation is also the Restoration Grid, which is a major compound of Revival Flame, is the reactivation of the ancient Earth Grid, which is a spiritual and electromagnetic lattice of ley lines, pyramid, stargates, and ancient temples. So white hat geomancers and inner Earth emissaries are now reactivating planetary energy centers such as Uluru, Giza, Teotihuacan, and Shasta. They're also closing corrupted portals that were used for demonic rituals and replacing them with what is known as seraphic, which is a term describing angels, the seraphim, right? Light conduits. So what this tells us is that as they activate the ancient Earth Grid, right, through the lattices of the ley lines that connect to the different stargates, the different pyramids and ancient temples, creating a web of light. What that tells me, guys, is that they're literally, these projects are literally leading us into the positive ascending timeline, because the Earth's ancient grid system was the reason why the Earth was once connected to the cosmic current through the pyramids, right? The pyramids were like these big battery power generators, bringing in cosmic energies, distributing those energies to the different lattices and ley lines of the earth, empowering, connecting to the sacred sites of all the ancient temples, which were also in turn, you could say, like, I don't know, let's just call them vortexes, right? Or energy centers, right? Harnessing power. That's all happening again. And all of that confirms that we are entering the golden age. Okay, so yes, guys, I forgot to mention, we are steadily on a positive timeline trajectory. We are steadily on a positive timeline trajectory. And today is the 14th of July, 2025. Hey, I got the name right. I mean, the date right, right? Half the time, I don't know what day it is because my mind is already in 5D. It's very hard for me to operate into 3D, guys, and I'm sure it's frustrating to some people, but it's okay. Anyways, reactivating planetary energy centers, all right? That's part of ancient Earth activation grid and the lattices of the ley lines. So Project Revival Flame includes also a global alliance of anonymous heroes, some known, most hidden among its operatives, and I'm sure some of them are watching my channel, just making sure that I deliver the right intel, which is fine with me. Q-level insiders guiding the public towards narrative awakening. Digital light warriors on platforms like Rumble, Telegram, and decentralized networks spreading intel under coded messages. And then, of course, starseed generals, right? And that includes the walkings and the galactic incarnates that are acting as flame carriers embedded in Earth's system. And it also includes native siders, monks, and mystics holding spiritual ceremonies in sacred locations to anchor in the flame energy that will, again, reactivate the ley lines, connecting to all the centers worldwide, pyramids, and then in turn allowing for the cosmic current to initiate the Earth into operating on different dimensional bands or frequencies, right? Multidimensional Earth. As in the days of Atlantis, right? During the days of Atlantis, Earth existed in multiple dimensions, allowing immortals, wizards, demigods, and mortals to all coexist at the same time. Okay? That's what happens when the Earth is reconnected or reactivated as it once again is pouring in cosmic energy. All right, so Revival Flame also fulfills the ancient prophecies across many traditions, including the Hopi prophecy, right? When, according to the Hopis, right, they believe that when the sacred site fire returns, that's how they said it, quote, the Hopi prophecy, the people will remember, okay? When the sacred fire returns, which is the activation of these centers through the lattices and ley lines, right? The people will remember. The Great Awakening, guys, as prophesied for the Hopi. Also in the Christian prophecies, we do hear that the Spirit of truth shall come and shall reveal all things. The Spirit of truth shall come and it shall reveal all things. And then, of course, the Mayan calendar prophecies talked about the return of the solar codes, awakening into the fifth world. Awakening into the fifth world. So all of this operation is all part of the positive ascension timeline, accelerating humanity towards the 1,000-year peace ring, right? And those who align with the flame, the flame, right, will transition into the 50th earth, right? Those that align with this flame will transition into the 50th earth, while those who resist truth, and they will be giving a choice before the bifurcation, will remain in a simulated reality. That's right. For those that go into a negative timeline and don't make it into the 5D Earth, or 4D Earth, rather, are going to go into a further simulated reality, a digital one. That's why it's a worse. It's a worse simulation than this simulation, better yet said, by the last vestiges of the Ahriman Omega AI grid. Okay? So, the White-Hats are calling the final phase of phase 4, which is going to allow all these beautiful things to happen that I just mentioned, the Phoenix moment. And the reason they call it the Phoenix moment is because if you study, it's metaphor, a term, you could say the rising of the Phoenix, right, is signifying a rebirth. Okay, so that's why they call it the Phoenix moment. So as of mid-2025, Project Revival Flame is entering its final ignition phase, which includes full activation of the emergency broadcast system for a huge disclosure drop, distribution of ascension packages through medbeds, Akashic technology, and conscious education, real-time downloads to awaken individuals to lead their communities into the new Earth era. So, and also to spark the flame within. the flame within, which is the God mind inside you all. So Project Revival Flame is more than just a military white hat operation. It is a planetary resurrection code. And while it is supported by ships in orbit, they're just cloaked. We don't really see them, right? The New Jerusalem, the Dove, the Athena mothership, the Capricorn. So while it's being supported by the ships, right, that are in orbit, and bunkers underground, the true power lies in the awakened human heart. In the awakened human heart. So every time someone breaks free from fear, right, deprogrammed, questions the narrative, speaks the truth, or activates another soul, right? It's like the flame of illumination, right? When you awaken, your spirit lights up, and then you're able to use that flame of illumination to spark somebody else's spirit to also awaken and flare up. And that's what's going to lead to the critical mass effect, guys. All of this, okay? So every time somebody breaks free from fear, questions the narrative, speaks the truth, or activates another soul, the flame grows collectively. The flame grows collectively. So this is not a war for weapons, but for consciousness, right? And as the flame rises, nothing can stop what is coming. Nothing can stop what is coming. I do want to welcome all 2,800 people that are in the house. As a reminder, guys, I always put the link in the description. This is the best thing to take as far as completely cleansing your body from graphene, that stuff that they put in people's bodies. And yes, there are these things called spike proteins. So even if you didn't get the Jabba-Do, you're still acquiring those nanobots by just being around people that did. All heavy metals, radiation, all that stuff, okay, as a reminder. And also, as a reminder, I'm having a in-person event from 1 to 5 p.m. at the Global Center for Christ Consciousness this coming August 3rd, which is on a Sunday in Sedona, Arizona. That is going to be powerful. I'm going to be doing a thorough PowerPoint presentation, all right? And anything else that I want to mention? I don't have my phone on me today, so I'm going to have to get close to the computer and actually try to read some questions at this time. You guys know the drill. Please ask your questions in capital letters. Oh, one last thing that I wanted to share regarding the list. I know that sometimes when I'm done with the presentation, some people just don't care about Q&A and they just log off. Okay, yeah, I'll take some water. I do want to talk about something that was actually released by no other than General Flynn, who is a Y-head, and I'll explain why, regarding the list.
So Pam Bondi is the one that is supposed to release the list. Pam Bondi is told by generals as part of the White Hat plan when to release it or not. However, what I believe is that at some point, some elites met and they don't want any of their names released. They're saying, you know, hold this back. And even Ghislaine Maxwell, insiders have said that she's ready to release everything on Epstein and all the
I did hear about that. Yes, I actually heard the same thing.
Democrats, they're even
talk about leverage, guys.
Yeah, the Democrats aren't going to even withhold her from saying it. It's some things going on with the elites that I think are still infiltrating, and I think that the generals tell Pam Bondi when to withhold the documents as part of a greater plan, which might fit into what you were saying about
Project Trust,
the leverage and the holding of these things, because Trump is able to then influence the leaders who he knows he has their nuts in his hand. So he can do what he wants. And
that explains why it was reported that Eileen Maxwell is about to confess and reveal all the names of the list. Eileen Maxwell, did I pronounce her name right? Oh, Ghislaine Maxwell. Ghislaine, okay. Which is a good thing, okay? So that means they actually blackmailed her, okay? And Project Trust 2.0.
I actually discovered something from an insider source that was at the prison of Jeffrey Epstein. They brought in a van with a guy in green military gear. They snuck the real Epstein out at night. and it said that they poisoned him, and they just replaced him with another one.
So they really did away with
Yeah,
the original
they did away with
Epstein,
him,
and then
they
they
said
replaced him
that
with
he
the clone.
self-harmed, that
Okay.
he didn't hang himself.
So they replaced Epstein pretty much.
And there was evidence of pictures where Epstein's ear was not like his ear; it was something else.
So this replacement of Jeffrey is actually either a robot or an actor in, huh? That was wearing a mask.
It could literally be like a mannequin.
A mannequin. Oh wow.
Clay with
All right. Well,
artificial.
this was just released by General Flynn as of July 13, 2000. Thank you for that, by the way. She does a lot of research herself. July 13, 2025, according to General Flynn, he did send a warning to President Donald J. Trump and to every corrupt, blood-sucking elite hiding behind Epstein's child trafficking empire. This is what he said, General Flynn here. The time for excuses is over. Okay, the cover-up is crumbling, and Flynn is actually making it clear that until the child abusers in the highest ranks of power are dragged out and held accountable, this country cannot and will not heal, which I agree with. Thank God for General Flynn. Flynn always has known what all know, okay, that Epstein was just a tool, a groomed middleman used by a shadow empire of global elites, which is obvious, that these people are not just perverts or predators. They are part of a dark, ritualistic power structure that traffics.
Read mine if it's easier.
Oh, thank you. That transfers in blackmail, or they operate, right, through blackmail, blood, and total control. These are the billionaires, of course, the bankers, the judges, the tech giants. Guys, this is going to bring the entire government infrastructure down. Intelligent operatives and politicians who worship at the altar of control, and they've been feeding on little ones for decades. Flynn's public plea wasn't a political statement. It was a coded military warning. This is the second time he has gone public with fire in his words and classified knowledge behind his stare. He posted in no uncertain terms, quote, as he messaged Donald Trump, he says, "Please understand that the Epstein affair is not going away," okay? He followed with what the mainstream media refuses to print. And if the administration does not address the massive number of unanswered questions about Epstein, especially the abuse of, by elites, little ones, it is very clear that abuse occurred, obviously. Then moving forward on so many other monumental changes our nation is facing becomes much harder. So then moving forward on so many other monumental challenges our nation is facing becomes much harder. Flynn is a former director of the Defense Intelligence Agencies. He knows exactly who flew to the Epstein Island. He's seen the raw files, not just the sanitized garbage that they allowed Congress to view in closed-door sessions. So he's seen the unedited footage. He's seen it all. The blackmail, the torture, the trafficking routes through diplomatic immunity, the Clinton-hacked NGO planes, the fake orphanages, the organ extracting satellites, harvesting, right? Tracked by Space Force. Flynn quoted scripture, not as a talking point, but as a righteous judgment from the front lines of spiritual warfare. Quote, this is what he said. "Anyone who causes these little ones to stumble, it would be better to have a milestone hung around their neck and to be drowned in the depths of the sea." I agree. All right, these guys deserve, death. All right, for everyone that messed with the little ones, it's an eye for an eye when it comes to this. So this isn't just political theater anymore. This is war. Flynn isn't begging for a probe. He's actually demanding an annihilation of the pedo network. Pedo, right? Isle, rhymes with isle, or aristocracy that has ruled the Western world behind the curtains for generations. Moreover, the cover-up is an unraveling. New Freedom of Information Act, known as the FOIA, demands have been filed, thank God. notably by Glenn Beck to expose communications between FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino, and that explains why he resigned. He was probably bought off, and the White Hats told him to exit, and former Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi regarding Epstein's sealed cases. This means insiders know that there's more in the vault. Bongino was positioned to access classified trafficking intelligence that was never meant to see the light. But now the doors have been cracked open again. The the Brandon Show regime and its deep state handlers are crumbling. All right, so he also went on to say that Obama was always Epstein's golden shield, okay? That his administration oversaw that three-letter agency that starts with a C, special transport programs under the guise of humanitarian ops. And those weren't, those weren't just that. They were flying in and out of Africa and the Caribbean. And that was considered cargo of the little ones, right? Undocumented little ones. Transferring them directly into elite-controlled safe zones. And who funded these health initiatives? Are you guys ready for this? According to Flynn, it was the Big Gates Foundation. The Big Gates Foundation. I always like to call him Mr. Ferns. Oh, you know the evil character in The Simpsons. Come on, he was like the boss of Homer Simpson's. What is his name? Kind of looks like him, right? Gates looks like Fern. I think
Burns?
Mr. Burns, that's his name, Mr. Burns. I didn't really watch Simpsons, so I kind of forgot his name. But yeah, the Gates reminds me of Mr. Burns. They also have that same nose that goes like this.
They made the Mr. Burns character modeled after Evelyn de Rothschild.
Oh, really?
Rothschild.
Makes a lot of sense. Okay, but now that the Epstein-Klein lease is leaking, not the fake media crafted flight logs, by the way, but the real quantum biometrics tracked movement data, the walls are closing in, and that explains why we are now in phase 4, guys. Phase 4. So the military alliance around Trump has had it for years, okay? The question isn't the takedown, will happen. So the question isn't if the takedown will happen. The question is when Trump will unleash the dogs of justice. And so in a second attack on corruption, Flynn reminded the world that the Russiagate attack on Trump was never about Russia. It was about stopping the one man who had the power to expose the entire globalist system. A system that includes mass little one transferring, ritualistic abuse, and Sata control mechanisms. Nick, right? Sata control mechanism embedded in every layer of Western government. Flynn posted, and I'm almost done here, guys. I'm going to do Q&A in a little bit. Be patient here. We the people are fed up with having tons more evidence come out regarding the Russiagate, yet sadly no one is getting arrested. This is according to Flynn, quote. Hell, there doesn't even appear to be an investigation, even though they tried to overthrow the president of the United States, and this is in regards to, of course, Russiagate. All right, guys, Galactic Jedis, how are you all doing? I hope you guys are having a beautiful Monday. We have exactly 2,800 Galactic Jedis, 2,833 in the house. Thank you guys so much for being here. I'm going to go ahead and give some shout-outs. I see Stellar Core in the house, Overwhelmed 25-8, Trinity Q in the house, Cheryl, Wait, MJF, Jennifer Abernathy is in the house, Silver Earth Girl in the house, Aaron is in the house. Who else is in the house? Master Light is in the house. Steve Schanelberger, Blue Rose, Eddie K of Light. What's up, Eddie? Conspiratary, Sylvia Vidal, Harvest Moon. The Bobina is in the house. Tina Bobina is in the house. And last but not least, Angela is in the house. Hi, Angela. I remember you from class. And I also wanted to thank all 2,700 now people. Like I said, after I give the report, people just say, oh, forget Q&A. I just want the intel and they log off, but it's okay. Go ahead.
Can I add something about
Yeah,
the
what's up?
solar burst?
Oh, I said I was going to talk about that. The solar flare.
Okay,
Yes.
this solar burst just came off today off the sun, and it's Earth facing, and it's already headed towards Earth. It takes about 3 days' time to get to Earth. It's definitely expected to come, and it is moving at the speed of 169,000 miles per hour. This is being measured and recorded by the Pleiadians, and it is also said to set off possibly earthquakes and volcanoes. So please do your grid work at this time, and make sure to rest and hydrate, because this is also going to be a lot for us to integrate, because it's a lot of light. So prepare yourselves for the next couple of days energetically. A lot of water.
Thank you for sharing that. First of all, I want to acknowledge the super chat by Vicky Gray. Thank you so much, Vicky Gray. She says, thank you for giving us the truth. Time for us to let go of the lies and embrace the truth. Ditto, ditto. Yeah. So grateful for you. Thank you, Vicky. That means a lot to me. Well, I'm also grateful for each and every single one of you guys. Okay. You guys are the reason why I keep going forward, by the way.
One more thing with the folium. So the purpose of the folium mostly is to remove nanotoxins and to help increase the pineal gland activity. I've felt recently that using 30 minutes before you eat and 30 minutes after you eat. So if you're going to alternate, use one of the Relax and one of the PX. So 30 minutes before food and 30 minutes after, and I think that's going to help your system to just release as much toxins, because the more toxins you release, the better your DNA upgrades are going to be.
Thank you for that. And of course, the link for the folium is always in the description. Senor Ismael, can you ask your lovely lady to explain what it is to measure at 70,000 hertz and one been measured at 50,000 hertz?
Oh, okay. So
this is from Jose Mendez.
This is when I got my frequencies tested by Anya, who makes the Palanet crystals. She used muscle testing to check my frequency, and when you resonate at, I say 50,000 hertz, you're in the fifth dimension. When you're at 70,000, which I was measuring at after using Palanet, I was at 70,000. So that's seventh dimensional consciousness. The hertz is a vibration. That's how they measure the frequency.
Makes a lot of sense, and I agree with that. The higher your frequency, the higher your consciousness is operating, the higher in the dimensions, you could say.
And the Schumann resonance is also measured in hertz, and it's also raising in hertz more and more. It was at 7.83 baseline frequency about 5 years ago, and it's increasing constantly. It's measured on the Schumann resonance, all these spikes.
Yeah, it's very, very true. And regarding the massive solar flares that are coming, it has been reported by geophysicists that there's been a lot of activity taking place around Yellowstone Park. Now, I'm not a doomsdayer, guys, but I do know that a lot of the reasons why a lot of these animals are fleeing those areas is because the animals are in tune with nature, right? They are able to read the Earth's geomagnetic shifts through their paws as they connect with the Earth. So there's a reason why the animals are migrating right now from certain regions, all right? Now, this does not mean that Yellowstone is going to burst and that 1/3 of Americans are dying, because from what Commander Valiant Thor did tell me is that this is all part of the prophecies that are unfolding. The solar flash, at least the first flash, it seems like it's coming, it's on its way. The animals are fleeing. So the galactics have put the Earth on what is known as a emergency rescue bubble, and the galactics are stationed around all the supervolcanoes, including Mount Etna in Sicily, as well as Mount Rainier in Oregon, in Washington, I'm sorry, and then of course Yellowstone. Okay, so
they're holding off the super volcanoes till the ascension.
Yeah,
the galactics are doing.
That's what Valiant Thor. Yeah, that's what Valiant Thor told me, that they're actually holding off the super volcanoes from erupting until the ascension. Okay, they're trying to minimize catastrophes.
But we still have to do our grid work and balance out the Earth's.
That is correct. We still have to do our grid work and balance out the Earth's electromagnetic frequencies. All right, next question. I do have a super chat from Not Awkward. How does the global alert system work? Is it like a digital Amber Alert where it appears on all digital screens? Or is it a message sent to our minds? Good question. it is like a digital Amber Alert. So through Project Odin and Starlink, they're going to, your phones are going to give you the emergency notifications. And so that's,
turned on.
yeah, so make sure that your notifications are turned on your phones, guys, because it is not a telepathic message. It is a digital message.
First,
okay?
Trump is supposed to tweet that the storm is
here, and then that's when they implement
they send the presidential
the EBS.
messages
Yeah.
to tell us to watch the television as they're listening to the radio. You got to get home within 3 to 5 hours. Have gas, food, water, and extra cash on hand, and any emergency other supplies you need. Candles are really good. And
this is a good question.
pet food.
What happens after the 1,000 ring of peace? This is a question from Claire. Claire, is it Girard? Hi, Claire. That's a good question. Well, after the 1,000 years of peace, we reemerge once again with the AI timeline for one final clash against evil, which will usher in a new cosmic era for the entire multiverse. And that's how important the Earth is, and that's how important the positive timeline is. Now, this information has been confirmed by all ancient texts, not just the Bible, regarding the final clash with the beast at the end of the millennium, but also confirmed by the Rig Vedas, the ancient writings of the Indian people, the Mahabharata, including the Quran, and the mystical Kabbalah. According to the book of Yesephareth, I believe, the Yesephareth. All right, let's continue here with questions. Yes, Starlight says, cash and small bills is important to have. Absolutely.
If you can't afford much, get beans, rice, peanut butter, and don't get, don't spend over $500 if you can't. Just try to stick to the basics. And protein bars, superfood powders.
All right, somebody's asking, who is the beast? Where is the location? This is a question from Lord Ranga. The beast, regarded in all ancient prophecies, is the rise of super artificial intelligence. So that is the beast. And you want to know where its location? Everywhere where there is technology, Wi-Fi signal, phone towers, electrical circuits. So just like the Bible says, this thing is going to be everywhere at once. Satellites, the internet. It's a cybernetic superintelligence. So it's everywhere, okay?
Nanotechnology.
Through nanotechnology as well. It operates through nanotechnology.
iCloud, Google Chrome.
All of that stuff. I'm trying to find some questions. However, it's hard to just ignore the chat. I like to see what you guys are saying among yourselves. So many good questions, though. I'm going to address this one because this person keeps repeating the question. Hi, Ishmael. I live in Bermuda. Is Bermuda part of the city of Atlantis? Yes. It was a remnant of Atlantis before it collapsed. After its collapse, I'm sorry. Or also, are you available to come to Bermuda for a seminar? I will pay for all the expenses for you and your twin flame. Not anytime soon, guys. Not anytime soon. But thank you for the offer, and when the time is right, I will, reach out to you. This is from Shirlene Santucci. Shirlene Santucci. So yeah, definitely what remains of Bermuda, that was once connected to the ancient city of Atlantis.
They got planes and ships disappearing in the Bermuda Triangle. I think it's some kind of a
That's always happened where ships and planes have disappeared around there. That's kind of always been the case. So some of you are saying you don't think Epstein is dead. Okay. Yeah, I guess we're all going to find out, folks.
I think John McAfee's alive.
Yes, Ishmael is in the house. Debbie Gender, you're so funny. Let's see. I want to acknowledge and welcome Starcadian, my moderator, for keeping the vibe high here on the chat. Thank you so much, Starcadian. I appreciate you, brother. And his question is, Ishmael, how does one know how to measure your hertz? I believe there are multiple ways of measuring your frequency or your hertz, and I think one of them is called muscle testing. Mm-hmm. Muscle testing. So that's one of the ways of measuring where your own hertz is. And everyone has a hertz, by the way. All right, we're all living electromagnetic pitch tones, right?
Tuning forks, like
tuning
this.
Forks.
Look at, if you want to adjust your frequencies of your chakras, there's things called tuning forks. I'll just show it one.
Ishmael, is this a global thing or just the U.S.? This is Anna Nishida. No, this is the global thing, but it starts first with America. But yeah, this whole global alliance is a global thing. That's a pitchfork.
Tuning fork.
Tuning forks.
This is 396 hertz. So you hit it like that, and then you'll put the base of it on the chakra that you need to work on to increase their frequency.
This is a strange but intriguing question from Carmen Sanchez. She says, question, is true or false people fall down from sky and people say they have, what? Question, is true or false people fall down from sky and people say they have failed the matrix? I really don't understand the question, but I thought you were referring to, are people going to be coming from the sky? Which to me would sound like, is there going to be first contact with extraterrestrials? And the answer to that is yes, that is scheduled. After the disclosure, we are going to be reuniting with our star nations or our star family. What's this?
I want to just recommend to balance people's chakras, black kyanite, blue kyanite, which increases intuition too, and some tiger's eye for anxiety, because as I've looked into these energies that we're in currently, there's a lot of intense emotions, people having emotional bursts, irritability, and just a thought to consider. Crystal healing is very helpful, and breathing and meditation to find your center, because there's something going on. It's just amping up.
Were witches actually light workers? This is a question from LW. Well, going back to Dark Age Medieval Europe, that was a term that was given to the healers, the mystics, that were using natural homeopathic and herbal medicine as an excuse for the Catholic Church to murder. So in that regard, they were given the term witches, the healers, the mystics of ancient, of medieval Europe, the Dark Ages, in order to eliminate them. So yeah, there was like you could say an inquisition that was conducted by the Vatican to go after the healers, the shamans, the mystics, the sages, who, again, were connected to the spirit realm. And if you guys have read my book, The Secret Government, according to the protocol of the papacy, only the Pope has access to the spiritual realm. Everybody else cannot have access. So if you are found to have access to the spiritual realm, they would label you a witch and then burn you at the stake. So yeah, you could say that in that era, the healers were condemned as witches. Cycle Sexton is asking, where are we safe? Well, because all of this is causing, right, the stimulation of the supervolcanoes, all this stuff, plate tectonics. Your frequency is your safeguard. Your frequency is your safeguard, because there's going to be a translation into the 4th, 5th Earth reality right before this shift occurs. And so the Earth changes are only going to be taking place in the 3D Earth. So if you guys make the shift, right, you guys make the harvest, you won't need to be in no safe zones. You guys won't be experiencing what those that are left behind will in the old 3D matrix as it collapses. But it's important to know, guys, to not have any fear throughout the process, because your consciousness contributes to the collective what? Consciousness of the planet. So by virtue of that, if you have no fear, you will make the transition at least into the 4D Earth reality, where there are no cataclysms. All right, so more questions. Ishmael, I heard that the first waivers are already beginning to ascend. Yes, that is correct. Also, it's a 6-week process and not instant. What's your take on it? Regarding ascending or the reactivation of our dormant strands, it is a process. I just don't know if it's exactly 6 weeks. I mean, you could be right. I'm going to have to look into that. But it is a process. That is definitely. Thank you for reminding everybody, Marvetta Rutherford, shout out, for smashing the like button. Thank you.
If you can, sit next to a tree and ground and connect your roots into the tree energetically. And sometimes the trees, because they're part of a network,
can you come closer so they can hear you? Because they can't hear you.
I'm just saying, if you kind of want to understand what could be happening with Earth, it's good to sit next to a big tree and connect to the roots energetically, and then just try to tap into the tree's mind, because trees are interconnected through a vast network, and they are the ones that are able to sense what's happening with Earth sooner.
True. Okay, so I do want to recognize and thank Greg for that super chat. Thank you so much, Greg. I appreciate that. This is a question from Quad Rippler. He says, Ishmael, does breath work and grounding also help with frequency? Absolutely. In fact, some of the advanced techniques that I teach my students in both my Ascension Basics and Ascension 2.0 is the most efficient ways of keeping your frequency high through breath work, through mindfulness, and of course through grounding. So yeah, the answer to that is absolutely.
And grounding pulls up the energy from Earth, so that has a frequency that you are using as well.
Absolutely. Monica Hollyhan is asking me to talk more about the Tesseract and the Diamond Crystalline Grid, which are all connected. I actually went into detail about a week ago in the live. I was breaking down some of these advanced technologies that have been incorporated by the Orma feline race from Sirius B now, which originated in Lyra, of course. But as for those that have read my book in the Galactic History, the original home planet of the feline Orma race, Avion, was destroyed during the Lyran Wars. So a lot of the refugees of what remained of the Lyran High Council went over to Sirius B to begin to reorganize, of course, and figure out a way to win this war against the dark side. So your question, the Tesseract, the White Diamond Tesseract, which was actually a gift from the Orma race, was incorporated not only within our solar system but across the entire Milky Way to literally dismantle all of these synthetic AI timelines, or the synthetic, you could say, inorganic loops. So that's the reason why a week ago, the AI signal Omega Mitra was completely dismantled because of the White Diamond Tesseract. But for more information about that, about a week and a half ago, I broke down all of these, Galactic Alliance you could say, operations that secured the positive timeline.
The Irma look like lions.
Well, the Orma are lions. They have a human body with the head of a lion. And that's why I always connect the tribe of Judah, the bloodline that gave us King David, Jesus the Christ, to the reorganization of the kingdom of Avion, which is the kingdom of Lyra, back to the earth. And I do, if you guys remember this from my old apartment.
Close up.
Oh, they can see it. They can see it. But actually, they'll see it better if it's like this. So that is one of the knights protecting the Holy Order of the Grail, which is the bloodline of Lyra on earth, represented by the lion, right? So we do have two opposing bloodlines, royal bloodlines. We have the feline Orma, lineage of King David. And also, by the way, this was a gift from Valentina Sunshine. Hi, Valentina Sunshine. I just want to give you a shout out for this gift. This is awesome. I actually have to figure out a way to have it in my background. As I use this picture in my old apartment, I do love this picture. Kind of reminds me of the house of David, the house of Jesus the Christ and Mary Magdalene. Okay, we are almost at top of the hour and 30 minutes. I'll take a few more questions. Oh, that's my borrow phone that I'm using.
Tell about the orb we saw last night.
Oh, yes. Last night, late at night, we actually saw a portal that was opening up here right above the skies in Sedona.
Bright goldish light, like a.
Greg says Ascension classes are great. Thank you, Greg. I appreciate that feedback. And I was told by one of my students that the same techniques and knowledge that I provide in my Ascension 2.0 class are actually being sold for over $1,000 by other people. So to get my classes for $100, guys, is, again, I'm not doing it for the money, right? These same courses that I teach for only $100, other people or spiritual teachers are teaching for over $1,000. $1,000, okay? So I don't do it for the money. I really do it to help people ascend, okay? I just wanted to point that out. Per one of my Galactic Jedis who is in my course, who told me, Ishmael, everything you're teaching me, I had to pay over $1,000 with this guy, a year ago. I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. Why are they charging $1,000? Anyway, so again, luckily every month I repeat my courses for those that are new to my channel. For $100, you get 4 courses, Ascension 2.0 and Ascension Basics. They're both really good. These are, now that I've come to understand, these are $1,000 classes, $1,000 courses that I offer for only $100. All right, let's continue here. Thank you, Cosmic Seal, for the love. I appreciate that, sister.
Oh. She always has so much passion in her comments.
And it might be something that's like, oh man, I hadn't thought of that. And
Yeah.
or you're aware of it somewhere back there. It's like, can't do that, won't go there.
Exactly.
You're aware of what you're doing now.
Yeah. So these are good questions, right on topic with the energy that's supporting it right now. It's really good.
Yes.
All right. Are we good with that one?
Yep.
Oh, I like it. Ding dong and the angel in the sky.
This is from Shannon. Princess Tiffany, I feel like I could be more aggressive and move faster. Am I procrastinating out of self-sabotage, or am I quote unquote on time?
You're always on time, and yes, you're procrastinating, and yes, you're sabotaging. All of them are correct. Again, where's the fear,
Yeah.
right? That's
Okay, let's break that apart though. I love that, but yes to all of them. And so what makes that a true statement?
because she believes it.
Because she believes it. Yeah.
Here we are, full circle again.
Full circle. So what do you want to be the situation? What do you
Yeah.
want? Yeah.
And you already knew the answer because of the way you asked the question.
Yes.
So good for you. That's really good. This is another thing we can look at is our verbiage. You know, like the way you ask that question is already telling us that this is something that you already, in your subconscious mind, know is happening. That there's some sabotage and some procrastination, but am I on time? Well, of course you're on time. You can't be anything but.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
always in right time.
Yeah. So, all right. So hopefully,
Okay, let's expand on that. You're always in right time. So that can be like, what the heck? But if I'm doing these things, how can that be in right time? That must mean I'm supposed to do these things. It means you're on the timeline where you are doing those things. Now, when you shift and you decide to change how you're doing it, then you will be on a timeline where it happens faster. See, so that's where this is what you're doing is right time for this timeline and where you are.
yeah. And you set up the scenarios so that you would have the opportunity to procrastinate or sabotage so that you could learn and so that you could have this conversation with us so that we could be like, hey, what do you really want?
Right.
And this is something that through the QHHT sessions that I think every practitioner will probably find is that your client's going to come in and sit down and they're going to know all the things they don't want. And the first moment you ask them, what do you want? Then that's when you hear the pause. I don't know. So that's my challenge to the audience today. What do you want? Get clear on that because that's how you manifest. I think it was said best when I heard it was Neil Donald Walsh who said, God always says yes. And so if you're like, I don't like the way that this is happening, you're right. You don't like it more, you know, wherever we're putting
Just
that
getting
attention,
whatever,
it's
exactly.
what the universe keeps responding to. So when we don't know what we want and then we get mad at the universe because it's not delivering something better, well, the universe is sitting there going,
Delivering,
you know?
what's the word? Ambivalence. It delivers ambivalence because that's what we're giving it. That's what
Yeah.
we're putting out.
Yeah. So challenge. What do you want? Get clear. If you were waking up in the perfect day, what would that look like? And you do not get to put in all of the, well, this wouldn't be happening and that wouldn't be happening, because that's what you don't want.
Yeah.
So be clear about what you
Focus
would
on
like
what
it to
you
look
want.
like. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a famous focus on what you want, not what you don't want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's good. That's a good thinker for everybody. That was a great question to be submitted because it fits for everybody.
Yes.
So that's awesome. Wonderful. All right, Miss Tiffany, what else do we got?
This question's from Auntie Sean. Illustrious Tiffany. A long time ago, Dolores had suggested the best things to improve diet and help in ascending. Do we remember those suggestions?
The main thing was just lighter foods. It was like, really, she